Are you confident? Do you have consistency? How much conviction do you have? I'm Daniel Gomez, the Confidence Architect, a business strategist, keynote speaker, executive coach, and best-selling author. On the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, we will help you unlock confidence to create consistency and develop conviction. Together, we will discover the key that unlocks your confidence. Welcome back to another episode of the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, where we motivate, we inspire, and we add value to your life, to your business, to every aspect of who you are. And what an epic episode we have lined up for you today. I got to tell you, this guy, I met him, he's all right. Now, actually, I like him a lot. He's going to bring you a lot of value. So right now, let's get a jump start. Get your pen and paper out, because something magical happens when you put pen to paper. You retain more information than what you normally would. So write down, take some notes, because our guest today, Corey Berrier, is going to drop some wisdom. Welcome to the show, Corey. What's up, my man?
What's up, Daniel? Thanks for having me, brother.
Hey, man, I know the epic guy you are, brother. Why don't you introduce yourself to the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show and tell us a little bit about yourself, my friend?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Corey Berrier. I am the sales CEO. I work with typically frustrated business owners come in and I straighten out their sales team. And ironically, it's interesting, Daniel, because after I work with the sales team, you move to a different spot in the company and kind of straighten out that spot, if that makes sense. So I also host Successful Life Podcast, as you well know. Your episode should be coming out here pretty soon.
Awesome, man. Well, I want to know this. Where did you get the sales CEO from? I tell you what, I like your logo. It just speaks volumes to me. Sales CEO. What gave you the right to become the sales CEO, and how did you come up with that brand, man?
Oh man, honestly, to be totally honest, I came up with the name. I thought this is perfect because I am the CEO of my life, and I know more about sales than certainly the average Joe. And I don't say that egotistically. I've just been in sales for 25 years. Like, I've seen it all. I've knocked doors. I've made cold calls. I've done it. I've done it all, except for one thing: never sold cars. Believe it or not.
Never sold cars. Man, well, I'll tell you what. So we're gonna have a lot of fun on this show today. So I really want you just to open up your heart and share your wisdom with us, because this show is about delivering value. And what made you, right? You're a successful entrepreneur now. What in the world made you want to become an entrepreneur and do something crazy like that?
Well, that's an interesting question, and I'm glad you asked it because look, I always, as a kid, wanted to be a business owner, and I don't. I think I looked up actually it was like a corner store. I'm from Mayberry, so it's a little corner store, and we were friends with the guy that owned the store. And I always thought the guy was really cool, and I thought he had a really cool job. Really, he didn't. He worked at a gas station. He owned the gas station, but he was also the attendant. So, I realized that, I watched this guy and I paid attention to the cars they drove. I paid attention to where they lived. We all lived in the same area, essentially, but there was something about, being a business owner that was attractive to me. Now, okay, so that's the first part. The second part is I got caught with drugs in 2005 and I'm a convicted felon. So I also don't have a college education. So that doesn't leave you too many places in corporate America. So for me, I want to achieve big things, Daniel. I don't want to work for somebody else and go punch a clock or go into a job every day. I want to be able to do what I want to do. And quite frankly, I'm a little defiant. I'll be honest. I'm a little bit. I push back. But ultimately, I love what I do. I love giving people the results that they're looking for because it changes their life, it changes their business, and you know how that feels. It feels great. You know?
Yes. I love that. I love what you said, right? You love what you do. Let's stay on that topic right now for a little bit, because so many people out there right now, they don't love what they do. And even some of those, right? It's not just somebody that maybe that has a job or a career. Some of those are entrepreneurs. They're doing business for the wrong reasons, or their motive is wrong, and they're not happy. Maybe you're a mechanic, or maybe you're doing graphic designs or websites because of the money, whatever it may be, but they're not happy. How important, Corey, do you think it is to truly be happy with what you're doing, right? To really find that sense of purpose. Like for me, an example is I really love, I like coaching because I like to add value to people. It just brings me joy. So why do you think happiness is an important ingredient to success in what you're doing, or anybody?
Well, also a great question. Well, here's the thing. If I go into, if it's my own business or if it's your business or if it's the corporate business, doesn't matter, right? If I go into that business and my energy is off because I'm unhappy, do you think I'm going to be a good employee, a good business owner, a good, fill in the blank? I'm not. And really, Daniel, when you go into whatever it is you're doing, even if it's a Zoom call, and let's just say you have an argument with a loved one, or you have, maybe you have a bill collector call that you can't pay a bill and you get frustrated, you get irritated, and then you have to go into work or you have to get on a Zoom call with somebody, you're going to feel that. You're going to feel that energy that I'm putting off, that negative kind of crappy energy, really.
So are you saying being unhappy is going to give you a negative energy, a lower vibration?
Well,
Can people sense that, Corey?
they absolutely can sense that. Right. Absolutely. You bought stuff from people that they hated their job. They hated being there. They didn't want to sell you whatever it was. You can tell because you can feel that energy. Maybe it's just me. I don't think it's just me, but maybe it is. But I can tell when somebody's energy's off. And I just don't want to be around it.
Right now, if you're listening to this podcast episode, Corey just dropped a word of wisdom right there. Where's your energy at? Is what you're doing, are you happy doing what you're doing right now? If your sales are down, if your revenue's down, if business isn't where you wanted to be, or maybe just your life, you have to be in a position where you love what you do, like Corey said. And in that loving what you do, that's where the happiness comes in, because you enjoy doing it. And if you are in that arena of sales, like Corey's saying, and you walk into an organization and your energy is low, your prospect, your client, your customers, they can sense that. And if you don't bring that passion, if you don't bring that energy, if you don't bring that happiness every single time you come in, no one's going to want to do business with you, and it's going to reflect in your numbers. Would you agree with that, Corey?
Totally agree with that. But I want to add one more thing to that. But here's the other thing. You also got to be able to read people's energy, right? I mean, if I show up to you and I'm like, a million miles an hour, and maybe you're an introvert, and maybe you don't roll like that. Maybe you're from New York and I'm from Texas, right? We're going to have a very different conversation. If I try to tell you how to do something from Texas and you're in New York, well, your brain's going to be like 3 sentences ahead of me. So I've got to be able to match that to the best of my ability. And that goes for anything in sales. You got to match people's energy, but you don't want for people to have to match your negative energy, I think is the thing.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So let me ask you this. You make the decision to go into this entrepreneur space. You want to become this small business owner, and you're doing it, right? You've been in business. You've been very successful. Tell us a time in your journey, Corey, where you questioned yourself, you lost your confidence. And what did you learn in that season of your life where you lost your confidence about yourself? And how did you get out of that, Corey?
I can tell you a really good example. So in 2018, October 1st, 2018, my business partner, that was our year anniversary. We had been in business. We had our medical spa open for a year. He walked into my office. I ran the whole spa, and he was supposed to be responsible for the financials. Well, I'll get to that in a second. But he walked into my office and he said, "Look, I can't pay you anymore." And I'd love to tell you that I kept my composure, because I didn't. I lost it. I really did lose it. And it was like everything I built, it felt like he ripped it out from under me at the time. And for 2 reasons. One, I built the thing I had built the whole business. And the second part of that is I was supposed to go to my first Tony Robbins event in November. Well, October 1st is when I was supposed to buy my ticket for that. And since he didn't pay me, Now I've got two problems. Now I think I'm losing my business and I don't get to buy the ticket to go see Tony Robbins. I don't know at the time which one was more important because I knew I was going to see him. And so this is the I guess the good thing that came out of this about I guess it was around the 4th of October. I mean, I was down, dude. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know why he was doing what he was doing. I didn't understand. And honestly, I thought, you know what? He's going to come around. He's going to pay me. He'll pay me on the 15th, right? He'll see that I'm sticking it out. He'll pay me. And so October 4th rolls around, and I'm at the office, and my wife calls, and I'm irritated. And she said, "Hey, I need you to go to your computer." And I said, "Look, I'm super busy. What is it? Just tell me what it is, and that way I don't have to take the time to do it." And you know how it is when you get busy. Sometimes you don't take the time to do things that are really going to be important to you. And so when I sat down in front of my computer and opened my laptop and my email, she had contacted Robbins Research, which is Tony Robbins' company, and spoke to one of his people and she worked out a deal with him and got me a VIP ticket, which was, second to the best. And I don't know what she paid for it. I didn't ask, but that email was sitting on my computer. And Daniel, I got to tell you, it ripped my heart out, dude. I mean, it's taken me this long to even tell the story without crying because it was so emotional. I've never had anybody do something like that for me. And I got to tell you, if she hadn't have done it, I don't know if I'd be sitting here today because that event made such a massive change in my life. And to your other point, I felt helpless. I felt absolutely helpless until I went to that event and I walked across that fire. And when I did that, I knew things were going to change. I didn't know how quickly it was going to change, but I knew things were going to change. And it took a little bit. But that's when I lost my confidence. That's when I lost, I lost everything. I had to walk away with no money. But here's the bonus to that is I also didn't walk away with that $350,000 debt. So, there is life happens for you, not to you, right? And so I could have gotten completely down and crawled into a hole and said, to hell with everything. I could have. I wanted to, but I'm just not that guy.
I love what you just said. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to what Corey said. He was devastated, lost all his confidence. He just said the word helpless right now. I don't think anybody says that word helpless without truly meaning that. And right now, I have a question for you. It sounds like Corey honored his wife and she came through for him unexpectedly, surprised him with the VIP ticket to Tony Robbins. Are you honoring your spouse right now? Are you honoring your wife? Are you honoring your husband? Sometimes when we're down, instead of lifting them up, we beat them down some more. And I used to be guilty of that when I was a lot younger. I was a selfish Daniel Gomez many years ago, and I've learned not to be that way anymore. And it took some time. So right now, I want you to ask yourself, how can I support my spouse better? How can I support my wife, my husband? How can I support my kids better? Because we're all going to have days where we lose our confidence. We're all going to have days where we lose that sense of self because it happens. It's part of growing. You're not going to achieve that excellence, that greatness in your life without going through any challenges, any adversity. That adversity is what's meant to make you better. That adversity was sent to promote you. And listen to what Corey said. When he got to where he needed to go to the event, it resurrected that spirit inside of him, that life, that purpose. So right now, maybe you took a big loss in the first quarter of 2021. Maybe you're taking a big loss in the second quarter of 2021. Maybe your business ain't where you want it to be. Maybe your life isn't. I couldn't imagine my partner coming into me saying you're not going to get paid because I think I would lose it too, Corey. But the fact is that Corey bounced back. He got up. It's not a question of if these adversities are going to come into your life. It's a question of how are you going to handle these adversities? What are you going to take away from them? And Corey became stronger. And Corey, you make it sound like it was many, many years ago. 2018 was just 3 years ago. And look, he's right in front of me right now. So I want you to do me a favor, Corey. I want you to look into that camera. I want you to speak into that mic, and I want you to talk to that person right now who has faced some adversities and they're about to hang up the sneakers in life or in business. Do me a favor. Give them a word of encouragement. Edify them right now, if you don't mind, my brother, please.
For sure. So look, if this is you and if this resonates with you, I would say ask yourself, are you, if you are a business owner, how are you leading the team? Because Daniel, that was where I really dropped the ball, if I'm being honest with you. I led the team like an owner, like a boss. I didn't lead a team like a leader. And if you're having trouble in your business right now, my guess is that maybe that could be what's going on in your life, or maybe you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing. Because guess what? That stuff catches up with you. If you're not honoring your wife, if you're not doing our husband, if you're not doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing as a good partner, then that can bleed over into your job, into your business, because guess what? You still carry that stuff with you. Even if it's something you did a year ago and nobody knows about it, but you're still carrying that shit around. And at the end of the day, it's just not worth carrying that baggage around and carrying that heavy weight. Yeah, it's I would encourage anybody that if you're feeling this way, that listen, God didn't bring you this far to leave you here. He didn't. He's got better things to do. If you weren't worth, if you're thinking about right now, if you're thinking, well, I don't see an end to this, then you got to look further and you've got to fight a little bit harder, because everything doesn't come super easy, Daniel. It doesn't. But if you fight for it, you will get it. And look, I'm proof of that. I've taken a beating since 2018. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. It's been a rough go. What did I do? I hired somebody to help me because I didn't know what else to do. And that put me on the track that I'm on now. But if I hadn't hired that dude that believed in me, I wouldn't be sitting here.
What did you learn about yourself coming out of this, Corey, after I guess these past 3 years? What have you learned about yourself? Losing that business you had built, coming out of it in 2018. What have you learned about yourself?
I've learned that, you got to meet people where they're at. And just because, you think that somebody is here and maybe they're here, right? And maybe they're not as far along as you think they are, but in your mind, you're telling them something and you think they understand, but they're just not there yet. And so you've got to really be aware of the folks that you're talking to. You got to be aware of how you talk to people. Your tonality is so important. And my tonality through that process probably was not very good because I was frustrated and I was doing everything by myself. So I've learned that you can't lead by being a dictator. You can't. If you do that, you're not going to have a good result. I'm proof of that.
That's a boom, baby. Say it again. You can't lead by being a dictator. Is that what you said?
That's right. That's exactly right. And listen, the other thing too, if you are a business owner, you can't come home and try to run your house like you do your business. It's two separate things. Because guess what? Your wife don't work for you. And she might just tell you that. You never know, right?
Wow.
So there's a big difference. Big difference.
That was powerful right there. Listen to what Corey's saying. You can't lead by being a dictator. And maybe you're saying, well, I don't have a business. Well, guess what? You can't lead your family by being a dictator either. Because if not, that builds resentment. That builds bitterness in your kids and your family. And I love what Corey said, because that was me. That was Daniel Gomez almost a decade ago, if not more. Is I would lead my family like I did my business. I ran multi-million-dollar corporations, but we were very profitable at home too. Our house was paid off, but guess what? Sometimes my son just wanted a dad, and sometimes my daughter just wanted somebody to hug her. And you're your instinctive behaviors come out at that point. And unfortunately, we don't even realize that the communication is lacking at home. And I love what you said. I think somebody needed to hear that. Somebody's getting home from work, getting home from running their business, and they're running their household and treating their kids like their employees or their business, and there's no deep relationship there. And then we wonder why our kids kind of fall off on the wayside. That's powerful right there. So let me ask you this, Corey. You're coming out of this, you're doing great things now, and now you're here. What keeps Corey consistent? What keeps you consistent in life and in business?
I would say the biggest thing that keeps me consistent is I don't have a lot of consistency. You know, if I'm being honest, like, you know, it's the consistency is that you do right by your customer, you do right by your client, and you keep a client, right? And so, but there's ups and downs in business. There's times when you don't have as many clients as you'd like, or there's times that maybe you have more than you'd like, but you gotta keep that on an even keel both times. You can't, the emotions can't get too high and the load can't get too low. And so the way I stay consistent is I get up at 4:04 in the morning and I make sure that I do my morning exercise in my morning routine. And then I spend dedicated time on the task that I need to accomplish first thing in the morning. 5 a.m. to 6, I have a task. 6 a.m. to 7, I have a task. And when I complete those, man, like I feel so much better because I know that I've checked the box that I really didn't feel like checking to begin with, because I don't enjoy those 2 hours because it's stuff that I don't like doing, but I get it done first, so then I don't have to worry about it.
So then you are consistent because you have a little
So I guess
routine. Yeah. So
I guess I am.
So think about that. To be consistent, what Corey just said is sometimes it requires us to do the things that we don't want to do. He goes through 2 hours in his morning routine where he doesn't do exactly what he wants to do, but he does them. But then once you do it, you feel that sense of accomplishment. You feel that sense of winning. And so many times we don't allow ourselves to feel that sense of accomplishment, that sense of winning. And you're doing it, Corey, right? So if I had to ask you, Corey, my man, what makes Corey Berrier, what makes him distinctive? What makes him unique? What's your answer to that? Come on, get us motivated here. What makes you distinctive, man? What's unique about you?
What is unique about me is that I make sure that I go above and beyond and I care about the things that I'm doing. I don't do things that I don't care about, if that makes sense. So my customer, my clients, I make sure that I give them everything that I possibly can to make their business successful, because the way I see it is if they're successful, I'll be successful. And so I don't know how other people show up to their customers or their clients or their business, but I know for me, as long as I go above and beyond what I think I should do, I feel pretty good about it. And usually I keep my clients. Like I most of the time I don't lose people yeah, I usually make people sign, have people sign either a 3 or 6 month agreement, and I just kind of stay with them.
So let me ask you this. So I love what you said, right? What is the one thing that you see, right? It sounds like your client retention is good. What's one of the biggest mistakes you see a lot of young entrepreneurs making in business?
Oh boy, I got it. They do it for the money. They do it for the money, Daniel. If you do it for the money, guaranteed your success is going to be short-lived. Why do I know that? Because I did it for the money for years. And guess what? I kept hitting the brick wall, And did I have some success? Absolutely. But I would have had a lot more if I would have been doing it for the right reasons.
Wow. Did you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? What are you doing? Why are you doing what you're doing? And the thing Corey said right now is most entrepreneurs don't make it because they're doing it for the money. So if you had to give us a word of advice, how do we change that approach, Corey?
I would say that, listen, we're in the business of human beings. We connect with human beings. We love that. We thrive on being able to connect with other human beings. And I think if you show up like a good person, the people are going to treat you the same way. And maybe not 100% of the time, but my experience shows a good portion of that time, that's how it's going to work. Probably 99%. And so if you show up like you want your customer to show up, right? You don't want your customer to show up and be, a jackass. And so why would you show up and be a jackass? It doesn't make sense, does it?
So we kind of reciprocate, right? Well, whatever we give out is reciprocated back to us. And you have to go out there and go the extra mile, go above and beyond. And I love what you said, really, right? Put the customer's best interest in front of you. And when you do that, those are the small steps of consistency that are going to lead to the bigger success. And I think so many times, I was guilty of this out there when I was younger, is you just want to get that one sale or that one big win. But I tell you this, if you're getting that one big win at the wrong cost, is it really worth it? And the answer is no. That's what Corey's saying. So really assess what you're doing right now, assess what you're doing. And it's not just in business, but it's in life. How are you treating other people? Do you see the bad in everybody, or do you see the good? Because of the perspective that you're approaching your relationships is from a negative standpoint, or just the fact that you don't trust anybody, well, then that's the vibe you're going to give off. That's kind of what Corey's saying. So go out there with the intentions of serving, of giving, of delivering value that is above what's paid for. And when you do that, I love what Corey said. You don't have to sign another contract. It definitely helps as you start to grow and scale. But what he's saying is it's just those contracts end at 3 and 6 months, but they still keep going with them because they see the value in him. So my question to you is right now, are your clients seeing the value in you? Because you can have all this great sales skills, you can have all the great entrepreneur skills, you can have the great everything, but if that one tidbit of them seeing that you really care about them as a customer, as a client is not there, you might lose them. And I can tell you that when I was younger, I lost a client or two because it was just that learning curve that we go through. But you quickly learn, what do I need to change within myself? And most of us, we don't want to ask ourselves that question. Man, Corey, I'm loving this conversation that we're having here, and you're just dropping some wisdom. Let me ask you this. What is a quote or what is a scripture that you lean on during times of adversity? What is a quote or a scripture that you lean on times of adversity?
We walk by faith, not by sight.
Boom, baby. Walk by faith and not by sight. What does that mean to you, Corey?
That means sometimes you just have to believe whether you can see it or whether you can't see it, or whether, whether you look, if there's something that you're doing and you don't believe in it, it's going to show through. And if you don't believe in it, you really shouldn't be doing it. Because if I don't believe in what I'm selling you, you're going to see that, right? You're going to know that I don't believe in the product or the service. And quite frankly, if that's you're listening to this right now, you need to switch jobs, because you're not doing anybody any good by showing up not happy and showing up that with a non-believer, I guess, is for lack of a better term, right?
I love that.
I mean, it's kind of like this. I'll give you a quick example. So we both went and we both bought new cars in 2020, and we went to the Lexus dealership, and the guy, when I chose my vehicle, you could tell he was, you could tell that it was hard for him to see why somebody would spend $50,000 on a car. And then I realized when I saw him driving out of the parking lot why he thought that was a lot of money for a car. He didn't have a $50,000 car. He had probably a $10,000 car. I'm not making fun of him by any stretch. My point is that it's sometimes, you got to walk the walk. And if you're selling a Lexus, you probably should drive a Lexus, because you probably should have that experience so you can then talk about it. I don't sell anything that I don't have experience with, period. I just don't. I mean, how can I honestly tell you to buy something if I don't even know if it works?
Yes. I love that, right? because they can sense the uncertainty in us. They can see the uncertainty in us. And if you don't believe in your product or service or whatever you're offering, whatever you're pitching, or as an account executive, sales professional, whatever your title is, or just in your business, your customers can sense that. And a lot of times that's exactly what keeps them from buying from us, right? That exactly keeps them from that. There's no trust there because, well, how can I trust him if it seems like he doesn't really believe in the product? And I definitely agree with what you're saying, man. That's a good word of wisdom. So let me ask you this. In life, we all go through these moments of growth that really surprise